This is the July 2024 Bitcoin predictions based on astrology. Well, good morning and good evening, crypto astronauts, depending on where you're tuning in from, and welcome back to the Crypto Astro Paradise. If you're new to here, I do technical analysis and run an astrology birth chart for Bitcoin and see if the astrology patterns correlate with the TA. I'll give my Bitcoin predictions and what I'm doing at the end of the video, but none of this content is financial or investment advice. This content is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Let's take a look at where we are in the galaxy right now, in the solar system. We have Earth right here. We are going to see Saturn, this planet right here, go retrograde on June 29th. It's going to station retrograde. That is very significant. And even more significant because a couple days later, we're then going to see Neptune retrograde as well on July 2nd. This is bringing a lot of slow energy to our lives and to the world and to the markets potentially. Typically, especially if we're getting Saturn and Neptune retrograde, we're already seeing a slowdown in the markets. And typically we see the effects of these retrogrades of these outer planets even weeks in advance. So that's potentially, we're seeing that in the crypto charts. We're seeing Bitcoin falling off. We're seeing the altcoins massively fall off right now. Big dips in the markets. And it could continue for a bit longer here. And so what happens in a retrograde when we have Earth going around here, then it appears that Saturn and Neptune are actually going right, because as the Earth spinning around the sun, that's just kind of the effect that it has. So that is what's going on with the retrograde. And we also have a lot more going on in the next month of July. I wanted to also show y'all one of my previous predictions based on the astrology of Bitcoin, and I'm still at 90% accurate. And here is proof of one of the recent predictions. This is the last video I made for June 2024 forecast for Bitcoin. And so take a look at this, and then you can see if you would like to listen to what I'm saying in this video, because I like to make sure that things are accurate and that I am in integrity and I'm not just talking for fun on here, but I'm actually getting real results. Because Saturn is the planet of restriction, hard lessons in reality, banking institutions, and it's going right over Uranus, which is the planet of crypto and technology. All right, so we could see a black swan event. We could see major dumps, particularly in June, maybe even July. Okay, and I'll share more about my prediction. Okay, so that's what I predicted last month. I gave you a major warning. I said major warning. That's what I titled the video 1 month ago. June 2024 forecast is concerning. And we look at the Bitcoin chart. What has happened since June? We'll look at the weekly. Ever since we hit in June, we've gotten 1, 2, 3 major downward weekly candles there. And let's look at how far this dumped. So far, 15%. And altcoins have dumped even more. All right, so let's get back into what we are seeing in the astrology for all the astrology enthusiasts. What we have coming up in July is interesting with these two planets going retrograde, as I mentioned. Then we have a new moon coming up on July 5th. Sun goes around here a little bit. And we get that new moon here. You can see the moon a little bit there. And this is a new moon in Cancer. Nothing too major with this new moon on July 5th. We do get some positive aspects to the Bitcoin chart. So Bitcoin could be holding up relatively well. I'm not sure if Bitcoin is going to be holding up above 60K or below. I'm making this video on June 23rd. So Bitcoin could be in the 50Ks by this point. But wherever it's at on July 5th, it could be holding up decently well. Can't give any guarantees. We do get Saturn sextile Mars. That's one a little bit positive aspect. Can't say much more on that one. Then July 8th, we get Uranus sextiling Venus. So this planet all the way out there is making a positive sextile to Venus. This is all sacred geometry, guys. These is just, astrology is literally the study of the geometries that the planets are making and the gravitational pull that they're making on each other. And this actually affects things in 3D reality, believe it or not. And we have, then on July 10th, we have Sun trining Saturn. All right, so the Sun is trining, I believe Saturn's over here, which is fairly positive, and then Venus trining Neptune. So then Neptune is trining Venus right here. That's pretty positive. Then we get Venus opposing Pluto, which is not so great, on the 12th. So there's Pluto out there. So Venus is going to be exactly opposing Pluto there. And then this is where it's a bit concerning, actually quite concerning. July 15th, we get Mars conjuncting Uranus. Let's see if we can play that here. So July 15th. Yeah, so from the point of view from the Earth, we have Mars right in front of Uranus there, okay? They're lined up, okay? Got Mars there and then Uranus. This is explosive, guys. Uranus brings the unexpected, and then Mars brings explosive, intense energy. It's one of the malefic planets, not the greatest. And then a major problem is both Mars and Uranus are going to be conjuncting Algol. I don't have Algol pulled up here, but they're going to be exactly conjuncting the fixed star called Algol. Now, this is a historically, it's a demonic star, so this is not very good. We could get a black swan event around July 15th. We could get escalations in the Middle East. We could get a very surprising, unexpected event. All right, guys. And I have also, I'm just going to throw this out there. I've also gotten some intel from one of my sources that is related to, I guess you could say, the military, and they are potentially seeing events in July popping off. So be prepared, guys. We want to make sure you have enough food, water, all those things. Make sure you're prepared for the worst. So if we do get a crazy dump in the markets, although that might be the least of our worries, that we are prepared for that, and we're also prepared for all the things that we need for, daily survival. Okay, I don't want to put too much fear into that, but then July 21st, we have a full moon. We have a full moon in Capricorn. Let's go to July 21 there. And this is conjuncting Pluto, this planet all the way back there, Pluto. And we also have, one thing with the conjunction with Pluto is it's potentially foreshadowing Pluto in Capricorn energy coming back in September 1st, because Pluto is going to retrograde from Aquarius back into Capricorn, which is difficult, hard energy. Capricorn can bring that really tough lessons in reality. So this full moon here in Capricorn at 29 degrees, which is exactly where Pluto is going to retrograde back to in September and October and around November for those elections in the United States. It's going to bring a lot of intensity, guys. All right. So this is foreshadowing that energies that's going to come towards the second half of this year. This is going to be very interesting. The good news is we have the moon trining Uranus and the moon sextiling Neptune. Okay, so there are some positive aspects. So even if we do get some crazy events in July, things might be okay. It's not just like total freak out mode. Don't need to worry too much. We get the moon trining Mars in Gemini as well. We get Mars trining Pluto. So we do have those much more positive aspects coming in. We also have Jupiter sextile Venus. So actually, that is good for crypto. We could see the crypto markets starting to pump in July. That'll be very interesting. All right, now let's get into how about the charts? Let's look at the charts. Let's look at the Bitcoin chart here. We will look at the weekly close coming in here. So it looks like we just closed the week, and that is quite significant. Let's take a look. You know, we are closing at this level where there was a gravestone doji close. If we look at the 2 monthly chart, I had videos that talked about this previously, but you know, we got this gravestone doji. Take a look at my previous videos where I talk about that, and I believe in the month of May I talked about the gravestone doji. It got a big wick up, but then a lot of selling volume, and it closed. I guess it actually closed down here. But it opened at this level. It opened at 61,264. So if possible, we want to close above these levels here. Ideally, if we can close June above 60,000, this level of resistance, that would be very, very positive. If we close below 60,000 in June, coming up in the next 6 days, that's not going to be looking so good for the rest of the summer. All right, so that's one thing. So the weekly close, we're still above 60,000. That's good. Let's see. But I guess it was this previous week back here. So it closed at 63,000, so not so bad. Then if we look at the daily, zoom out here. You know, one concern is that if we do continue to head down, especially below this level, you know, if we could potentially bounce in the high 50s, but if we don't do that, we could be heading down to the lower 50s. That's certainly possible. That's potentially the worst case scenario. The good news is that would be a great buying opportunity. Let's look at the 50% level from the tops up here to the bottom at 56. We're already below that 50% level, but if we take this down to the levels of back in February of last year, then we're right now we're sitting below the 50% level. So we want to close above this level, 62,191. We want to quickly head back up to that, especially on the weekly close. But let's see in the next few days if we can close above 62,191 around there, as that would bring more bullish momentum. If we can close above this 50% level and we start hanging out above there, then that is going to look much more bullish than if we continue to fall off. It's not going to be good for the short term. Okay. Now I also want to look really quick at the DXY. So the DXY has gone above this 50% level, which is a critical level at 105.26. And, you know, we've headed above that level. I can actually, might as well zoom in here for you guys. Let's see, there we go. All right, so, you know, we're above this green line here, and if it continues to stay above this level right here, 105.26, then that's going to not be so good for crypto. But we did just get this dump. If we can go below this level, 50% there, and head back down, that's going to be very bullish for crypto. So I'm going to be keeping my eye very closely on this. So far, it's looking to be having some strength, and it could stay above here for some time. We will see what happens. There is potential strong momentum for the dollar so far, so that would be more bearish for crypto. Just wanted to point that out. Now let's take a look at the Bitcoin astrology, shall we? So we go to the Bitcoin astrology. We're see some very interesting things. I mean, the main thing that I've been talking about for the last couple months is this extremely bearish transit. Now, this lasts all the way to August 5th, but the last exact hit it gets, and what happens here is Saturn's going to retrograde on the 29th of June around here, and then it's going to go backwards and hit the Bitcoin Uranus for a second time. All right, and then it's going to hit it again, I believe, next year. So far, this has been a very negative transit. We got a negative hit on the June 18th. We're going to get it again July 11th. All right, so major caution. Just like I warned you guys back in May when I made that video for June forecast. All right, we're still in a very cautious area. There's still a major warning here. We could have more downside. Absolutely, certainly possible. Good news is in July, we start to get more positive transits hitting here. Yeah. So around July 4th, July 5th, July 8th, July 10th, we're getting pretty good astrology. But these are pretty good minor transits here. It's not going to make too much of a major impact on things. We got to be careful around this July 15th with the world astrology that I was talking about, where there could be world events, could be a black swan event of some sort. The good news is Bitcoin is getting a positive Venus trining Bitcoin moon on that day. That's minor positive. Then we get that full moon towards the end of the month. We're getting a couple negative transits there, so we could get a little dump towards the end of July. So I'll be keeping my eyes on that. So what am I doing? What am I thinking with these predictions? Let's go back to the Bitcoin chart. I mean, a lot of this depends on where Bitcoin's going to head in the next few days, in the next week. And we got to first keep our eyes on that, keep our eyes on what is actually happening with the price action. This isn't just always just focusing on astrology. We also got to focus on what's actually happening with the chart. Very, very important. And, we could see some things. Well, actually, I also want to share this. This is very interesting data here. One thing that, this is a chart for the crypto YouTube views from all of the top crypto charts. Look at these names down here. Some of the top crypto channels. Maybe soon my channel will be put up here. And, we can see back in 2021, we got a major peak really at the end of the run, when the run was over in June. We got a peak right at the end of the market there. And then we got another pump, of course, at November, which is arguably, some people argue that was the end of the market. But as you can see where we're at right now, we got a major pump at the Bitcoin all-time high that we had a couple months ago. But then things have just fallen off drastically after that. So potentially retail has left the building. We are no longer experiencing any peak euphoria, especially with altcoins. So this could be a period of consolidation. And I'm thinking, I can't give financial advice, but I'm thinking a great time for accumulation. So I'm going to be continuing to dollar cost average, and I'll speak more about what I'm doing at the end of this video. We're potentially seeing something along the lines of a Wyckoff accumulation with the Bitcoin chart right now. As Bitcoin is headed down, we could be towards the end of phase B right here, heading into phase C, where it could be heading into long support here, or last point of support. Or we could be in this schematic, which is similar. However, we drop off even deeper in this spring phase. When we look at phase C for schematic number 1, Bitcoin could head lower. If this was 56K back a couple months ago, then we could head below that, perhaps in a lower 50s area, maybe 54, 53, even 51. So if we get that spring phase, this is what it would look like. We could dip down lower 50s and bounce up again. And that would actually be extremely bullish, because we would then head up to last point of support and then this SOS phase here. All right, and then that would be heading up likely towards the end of the year, and it would be a very bullish pattern. Okay, so what am I doing? Well, I am actually quite bullish Ethereum, personally. This is definitely not guaranteed at all. This is just what I'm doing. I bought a decent amount of Ethereum in this area here. All right, and I am banking on that we are going to continue to head up with Ethereum. All right, but definitely not guaranteed. And so I did put a stop loss around this level here. So that is what I'm doing. I'm banking on that Ethereum might outperform Bitcoin. Certainly not guaranteed, but if these ETFs become active in July, then that could be very bullish. That's just what I'm thinking. Definitely not guaranteed. We could absolutely head down lower. In that case, my stop losses would get hit, and then I would have cash on hand to buy on at lower levels, something along the lines of that. Okay, so I just wanted to share. And some of the predictions that I'm seeing, particularly for Bitcoin, since that's what we're talking about today, is Bitcoin could get a relief rally possibly after July. Actually, no, I'm not going to say that first. We could see a continued downtrend pressure to Bitcoin price chart, especially around July 11th when we get that negative, the final last negative transit of Saturn conjunct the Bitcoin Uranus for the rest of this year, I believe. There is a small chance, like I was saying, that Bitcoin could get a small relief rally after July 11th if the broader macro markets show continued strength. That could be bullish, but we still have to wait until after July 11th, in my opinion, based on the astrology. Now, as I was talking with the DXY, the dollar index compared to other currencies, if the dollar remains strong and holds above that 105.3 level, that 50% level I was talking about earlier, the Bitcoin price could stall out or dump. If the DXY crashes below that level and has a weekly close below 105.3, then Bitcoin and crypto could begin its next leg up. That would be very bullish. I will keep you guys updated on what I see with that, okay? So definitely subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and if you want to stay updated on that so you can really succeed in this bull run. Now, I do have a Crypto Astro Mastermind where I do a monthly call. You can get instant access to my previous 2 calls that are recorded. They're amazing masterclasses. The first one is the Bitcoin astrology critical update for this summer, where I already updated y'all about this major dump action that we're already seeing here. I warned everyone in my Crypto Mastermind group about this dump action that we're seeing right now, so that they were able to, if they wanted to, they were able to get that notification and take some profits so that they could have way more cash on hand to buy this dip, okay? So, and then the other masterclass that I have out already that you could get instant access to is altcoins that have 10x to 20x potential. I went over some of my top picks. They are high-risk picks, but they're potentially high rewards as well. Definitely not financial advice. But if you guys want to get lifetime access to the Crypto Astro Mastermind, where you can get all the tips, where I warn you about things like this beforehand, so you don't miss out. You get all the calls for the entirety of this bull run with just one single payment, and you get access to those bonus, the Bitcoin astrology update call for this summer, critical update, and the altcoins 10x to 20x potential. Use the coupon code in the description box below, to the moon, and on the checkout page, you will get $100 off and just make one single payment, and you get lifetime access, guys. Okay, extreme value. That's it for that. All right, so definitely subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.